In 2015, Lake Macquarie MP Greg Piper first visited one of the most contaminated sites in the USA, the site of the former Bunker Hill lead smelter in northern Idaho. Situated in the Coeur d'Alene Basin, commercial mining, milling and smelting of lead, zinc and silver was carried out there for over 100 years, with an estimated 100 million tonnes of arsenic, cadmium and zinc released into the air, along with 30,000 tonnes of lead and an estimated 100 million tonnes of tailings discharged into the Coeur d'Alene River system. Now a conifer-lined landscape, the area had been all but denuded by acid rain and other pollution from the industrial activity, similar to, but far and above, the contamination levels recorded closer to home at the former Cockle Creek Pasminco Smelter at Boolaroo. In 1983, the US government declared the Bunker Hill area, encompassing Smelterville and Kellogg, to be a Superfund site, dedicating $330 million to its remediation and ongoing management. Greg was impressed with what he witnessed and saw potential for transferring at least some of the practices from the Bunker Hill experience to northern Lake Macquarie. With that in mind, he suggested to the EPA and Lake Macquarie City Council that there could be some benefit for them to have their own experts observe the Bunker Hill experience firsthand. In June 2016, Matt James from the New South Wales Environment Protection Authority and Dr. Alice Howe of Lake Macquarie City Council joined Greg to visit and meet with key players involved in the establishment of remediation programs, as well as the ongoing management of the Superfund site. Rob Hansen from the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality and Jerry Cobb, Andy Helke from Panhandle Health and Professor Ian von Lindern from environmental engineering consultants TerraGraphics, as well as Bill Adams from the US EPA and Dana Swift, also from the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality. What they saw was quite revealing, with potential lessons for New South Wales. Several abandoned offices at the old smelter site still remain, while the majority have been demolished. Panhandle Health District administer much of the day-to-day management of contamination in the area and have developed a simple and cost-effective process which might have some lessons for the Lake Macquarie experience. This is done largely through what's called the Institutional Controls Program, or ICP. The ICP has obligations for all property owners and managers within the affected area, requiring notification and approval for works that can expose contaminated soils. For residents, there are dedicated repositories where soft furnishings and contaminated soil can be easily dumped for free. Bruce Schul from the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality is in charge of many of those and gave Alice and Matt a comprehensive rundown of the repository's workings. Clean landfill and soil is also readily available from quarries, making it easier and cheaper for both residents and contractors to carry out work, from large-scale excavations to digging smaller trenches or even holes for fence posts. Before any work is carried out, permits are required, but the face-to-face process is relatively easy with no fees involved. Alice, Matt and Greg had the chance to witness the laying of a new sewer main and the extensive process involved to ensure that no exposed contaminants were introduced into the community during or after the work was complete. Meticulous records are kept of what remediation practices have been put in place and where contaminants still are. This map shows the concentration levels of lead, arsenic and cadmium, with the red areas being the most hazardous. There are also simple measures like placing a layer of geotextile material between contaminated material and clean soil, providing a clear visual marker. The potential dangers of engaging in certain recreational activities are widely signposted, with education one of the key tools used in the ongoing management of contamination. The legacy of smelting created a challenge for Kellogg to find new opportunities for investment in their town. The ICP gave direction and certainty, seeing transformation with investment in houses, public spaces and businesses. Notably, the Silver Mountain Resort, with its prominent cable cars reaching from Kellogg to the top of Silver Mountain. It's a town proud of its mining history, full of quaint details. Before heading home, Greg, Matt and Alice compiled extensive reports and compared notes, coming up with several recommendations of practices in place at Bunker Hill that they believe could work at Boolaroo. Some options include the creation of a repository for lead-contaminated soil not so far removed from the source of the contamination at Boolaroo, wider application of geotextile material to the area's already operating cap and cover system, to create new streamlined processes for anyone who wants to develop their property, and renewing calls for the creation of a New South Wales Government sinking fund to pay for it all now and in perpetuity. These recommendations will have to be considered by the Lead Expert Working Group and Lead Community Reference Group before ultimately being referred to the state government for its consideration.